If you are thinking about becoming a cloud engineer in 2026, then you're probably asking yourself this exact question. Is cloud engineering still worth it in 2026? And I totally understand why you would ask this question, because right now, what you see on the internet, on LinkedIn, on the comments and Reddit and everywhere else, it's very confusing. One person will say that cloud is dead. Another person says that AI is going to take all the jobs. Someone else will say that nobody's hiring juniors. And then you see people in the comments on my videos, on other people's videos saying that they got AWS certified and they still can't get any interviews, that they built projects and nobody's replying to them. They've applied for 100 jobs and they haven't heard anything back. So naturally, as any normal human would, you start thinking, am I late? Did I miss the opportunity? Should I even bother? But let's be honest, right? In my view, that's not the real question. The real question is, can this actually work for me? And that's what you're asking. Because what you're really worried about is not cloud. You worry about spending 6 months studying, passing a cert, building projects, applying for jobs, and still being in the exact same position that you are right now. Same job, maybe you don't have a job, same salary, being frustrated, feeling stuck, right? That's actually the real fear. And this is really what I want to be answering. So here is the honest answer. Yes, cloud engineering is 100% still worth it in 2026. And I'm going to break it down in real depth on this video, but it's not worth it if you're playing the old way of doing things. So if you're playing the old game, that is the distinction. Cloud is not dead. It's booming more than ever because of AI. The old way of doing cloud is definitely dead. Firstly, let's kind of break down why people are doubting cloud, right? Why do people think cloud might not be worth doing anymore? And that's basically 5 reasons. AI, layoffs, a harder entry-level market, AWS certs not getting people interviews, and tutorial projects not converting into jobs. And honestly, a lot of this is very valid concerns to have. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that the market is easy to get into. It certainly isn't. The entry-level market now is more competitive than it was a few years ago because there's more people learning AWS, there's more people with the same certifications, there are more people copying the same projects, and there are more people applying to the same roles. So if your plan is right now, I'll get this, I'll build 1 tutorial project, I'll make a base CV, I'll apply for 20 jobs, and I'll just hope that I'll get a response, then yes, you're definitely going to struggle in 2026. But that doesn't mean that cloud is dead. Fundamentally, it doesn't. It's just your approach. It means the bar has been raised. And that's a key mental shift that you need to understand. Now, here's what's actually happening. Purely data, facts, and no one can argue about it, right? The market for cloud and AI infrastructure is not shrinking, it's growing exponentially, right? Synergy Research reported that enterprise spending on cloud infrastructure services reached $129 billion in Q1 2026, up 35% year over year, with the market now running at more than $500 billion annual revenue run rate. Gartner's latest forecast says that worldwide IT spending is expected to reach $6.31 trillion in 2026, with very strong growth driven by AI infra and software. Gartner has also forecasted worldwide AI spending at $2.59 trillion in 2026, up 47% year over year. So when someone says cloud is dead, I really don't know what you're looking at, right? The infrastructure market isn't dead. Companies are still spending loads of money. AI systems need infrastructure. Applications still need to be deployed, data still needs to be stored, networks still need to be designed, identity still needs to be secured, systems still need to be monitored, cost still needs to be controlled. So the question is not, is there demand for cloud? The question is, are you becoming the type of person that the market can trust? And that's very different. And this is really where a lot of people get stuck. They look at a market and they say, the market is broken. They blame the market when actually you should be reflecting on yourself and your approach. The more honest answer here is my approach is broken. The way that I'm doing things isn't right because I'm doing the things that I think I should be doing and I'm not getting any results. And that's not because you are lazy. It's not because you're stupid. It's because you are using a 2022 strategy in a 2022 market. It's because you are using a 2020 strategy in a 2026 market. So let's kind of go for it. The old way of doing it was AWS certs, tutorials, generic projects, generic CV, apply and hope. That used to work back in the day, right? Better than it does now because there was less competition. There was less qualified expertise around. Less people had AWS certs. Less people had cloud projects. Less people had access to free roadmaps, YouTube tutorials, ChatGPT, AI coding tools, and all of the information that we have now. But now in 2026, information is absolutely everywhere. We are overloaded with information and courses and roadmaps and YouTube videos from people that pretend to be experts, right? Everyone can watch the same videos. Everyone can copy the same projects. Everyone can ask AI to generate Terraform. Everyone can say, I know AWS. So the market no longer rewards access to information. It only rewards proof. That's the new game. Fundamentals, systems thinking, real projects, proof and positioning, applications with feedback, interviews. That is the path. And notice what has changed here. The old game was about learning. The new game in 2026 is about trust. So ask yourself these questions when you're looking to make the change and apply for roles and get hired. Can the employer trust you? Can they trust that you understand what you built? Can they trust that you can troubleshoot when things break? Can they trust that you know when you choose one service over another? Can they trust that you won't create a security nightmare? Can they trust that you can communicate properly? Because a cloud engineer is not hired because they memorize AWS service names, right? They are hired because a company believes that they can solve the infrastructure problems that they have. And that's the game that you have to play. Now, there is some psychology around this that I want to kind of go through. A lot of people don't actually want to become cloud engineers yet. Sounds weird. They just want to feel like they're becoming cloud engineers. And that's a big difference. Watching tutorials makes you feel like you're making progress. Taking notes makes you feel like you're making progress. Studying for certifications makes you feel like you're progressing, right? Even saving roadmaps on your phone makes you feel like you're progressing. But the market does not care how productive you feel. The market only cares about what you can prove. And this is where people go and protect themselves, right? Because staying in the learning mode feels very safe. Because if you're just learning, nobody can reject you when you're watching just a course. Nobody tells you that your CV is weak when you're just studying for a certification. Nobody tells you that your project looks generic when you're still preparing. Nobody tests your thinking when you're just taking notes. So learning becomes a place to hide. And I'm saying that with a lot of empathy. I'm not judging you because I get it. Rejection is very uncomfortable. Applying for jobs is uncomfortable. Finding out your project isn't good enough is uncomfortable. But that's where the growth actually is. At some point, you have to move from I am learning cloud to I am becoming someone that the market can trust with real cloud engineering. That's an identity shift that you have to make. So who actually wins in 2026? It's not the person who's watched the most tutorials on YouTube. It's not the person with the biggest notes folder. It's definitely not the person with the most certifications. The people who win in 2026 are the ones who can create proof. They can build, they can troubleshoot, they can explain trade-offs, they can understand security, they can understand networking, they understand deployment, they can document their work. They can talk through their decision making. They can use AI without outsourcing their brain. And that last one really, really matters. AI is not making strong cloud engineers useless. It's making them faster, more efficient, more effective. But if your fundamentals are weak, AI can make you worse faster because now you can generate code that you don't understand. You can generate Terraform that you can't debug. You can generate architecture that you can't explain, right? You can generate security holes that you can't see. So the real risk is not AI replacing cloud engineers. The real risk is actually becoming the kind of cloud engineer who is replaceable. And that is usually the person who's never built real understanding of what they are doing. They just copied, they just clicked, they just prompted, they just memorized and hoped that nobody would notice. But in interviews, they definitely notice because I sit on the other end of these interviews when I'm interviewing for my own companies, even when I'm consulting for startups, right? And they want to grow their engineering teams. They say, hey, can you take this interview for us? Because you know what we're looking for. You know what we need. You know what the market needs. In real jobs, they definitely notice. You can't bullshit your way to getting hired. It's not possible. You have to know what you're doing, right? So the answer is not to fear AI. The answer is to become the person who understands the system underneath, because AI is going to sit on top of the infrastructure and somebody has to design it, deploy it, secure it, monitor it, and fix it. That's the opportunity. Now, a lot of people also think that nobody's hiring beginners. Now, the reality is that companies, they're just not excited to hire someone that's risky, right? A beginner that can actually break a lot of things. That's the truth. When I'm hiring for my companies, I don't want someone that's going to cause a lot of damage. You want to hire someone that has some decent understanding of what they are doing, have some agency, they're committed, they're driven, they show up, they get the job done. It doesn't matter if they make mistakes, it's that they can actually take feedback and put it into action. There's someone that you like working with. It's not all about technical skills. A lot of the soft skills matter more than ever. Now, A beginner with no proof, no projects, no positioning, weak fundamentals, and a generic CV is obviously very risky. A beginner who has built projects, documented decisions, explained the trade-offs, shown troubleshooting, positioned themselves clearly, and can talk like someone who understands engineering, that person is still a beginner, but they are much better and safer bet for companies. And that's what you're trying to become. You're not trying to pretend that you have 5 years of cloud engineering experience. You're trying to reduce the employer's risk. That's the whole purpose of the roadmap. Certs reduce a little bit of risk. Projects reduce more risk. Clear documentation reduces risk. A strong CV reduces risk. Good interview communication reduces risk. Visible proof reduces risk. Feedback reduces risk. The more risk that you remove, the more likely you are to get interviews. And that's the mental model that you have to build, right? Because getting hired is not magic. It's all about trust creation. So stop asking the question of, am I learning cloud? That question is the wrong one to ask and it's way too weak. The question you have to ask is, am I becoming hireable? That's a way better question because learning AWS is not the goal. Getting a job and getting hired is actually the goal. So what does hireable mean? It means, can I explain fundamentals? Can I build something real? Can I explain why I built it in that way? Can I show what broke and how I fixed it? Can I document my work? Can I package it on my CV? Can I position myself clearly? Can I apply properly? Can I interview without sounding like I memorized a tutorial? That's the game, right? And if you do those things, cloud engineering is absolutely worth it in 2026. Some of my students in my academy earn over $300,000 a year. And if you don't do those things, then no amount of motivation is going to save you. You'll just become another person saying that I have the certs and the projects and no interviews. It's the market's fault, right? And I don't want that for you. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. Don't just finish this video and think, yes, cloud is still worth it. That's too vague. Go and audit yourself and ask these 5 questions. Number 1, am I building fundamentals or am I just memorizing AWS service names? Because names are not systems. Number 2, do I have projects that create trust or projects that just prove I followed a tutorial? Because tutorials are not proof. Number 3, can I explain my decisions? Why EC2 over Lambda? Why RDS instead of DynamoDB? Why private subnets? Why this IAM setup? Why this architecture? Number 4, can the market see my proof? My CV, my LinkedIn, my GitHub, my projects write-ups, my Loom walkthroughs. If nobody can see it, then it doesn't exist to the market. Number 5, am I taking action that exposes me to feedback, applications, mock interviews, project reviews, CV reviews, hiring manager conversations? Because if you don't get feedback, you don't know what's broken. And if you don't know what's broken, then you can't fix it. That's why people stay stuck. It's not because they're not trying. I know you're trying, but because you're operating blind. Is cloud engineering worth it in 2026? Absolutely, it is worth it. But only for the person willing to become undeniable. Not the person looking for the easiest path, not the person to collect certifications and collect excuses, not the person waiting that they feel 100% ready to apply and take action. The person who wins is the one who says that I am going to build the foundations. I am going to create the proof. I am going to put my work in the public. I'm going to apply for jobs. I'm going to get feedback. I'm going to fix what's broken. I'm going to become the kind of person that the market can trust. That's an identity shift that you have to make because at some point, your actions have to match the life that you say you want. And if you want to become a cloud engineer, then your calendar needs to show it. Your GitHub needs to show it. Your LinkedIn should show it. Your project should show it. Your application should show it. Your interview should show it. We describe people by what they do. So if you want to become a cloud engineer, start doing what cloud engineers do day to day. Build systems, secure infrastructure, troubleshoot problems, document your decisions, explain the trade-offs, put yourself in front of the market. That's how you change your identity, not by saying, I'm learning cloud, but by proving it. And if you want my help to become a cloud engineer in 2026, all you have to do is check the links in the description below.